I'm Danielle Mosanto, and I'm your host today. We have a special guest named Shahrez Daniyal Hayder. He's running for local and regional councillor in Ward 7 in Oakville. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Danielle.
Why do you want to run?
Well, there's a lot of issues in our community that have affected me personally and, affected the community as well. The reason why I'm running is quite devastating if you think about it. 3 kids who I knew personally growing up have lost their lives. 2 of them who I went to school with, and 1 of them was on my basketball team. And unfortunately, they lost their lives because they chose drugs, guns, and violence. And, 1 of them was he lost his life because he was drinking and driving. And I believe there's a major misconnection. I believe that kids are choosing the wrong path. And we need to provide more opportunities for them to be on the right path. And that's why I've stepped up.
Wow, that's amazing. Why do you think you didn't choose the same path?
Well, growing up, I've always played sports. When I was about 11 or 12 years old, I chose basketball as my full-time hobby. And I ended up playing the highest level of high school basketball on a national schedule in the U.S. So, that's what kept me away from, all the negativity that you can get into in high school and, the peer pressure. But basketball was my escape. And I believe that everybody has an escape, right? Rather it be arts, rather it be music, rather it be basketball or hockey, whatever it is, let's make sure that we're providing those for the kids so that they have an escape. So that's why I want to step up, so I can make a difference for the youth, the families, for seniors, for the community.
Wow, that's awesome.
And one thing that really bothers me is that we don't have a proper breakfast club in our community, right? In our schools, and breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It's what helps you function, helps your mind understand, and it really helps with that attentive learning that we need for school.
Of course.
Right? And I believe that we have to work with all levels of government, trustees, the ministry, to make sure that we're providing proper breakfast programs for schools.
Truthfully, I've never heard of many politicians talking about breakfast clubs and food programs in schools and building infrastructure simply to facilitate the youth in the community. So what do you think that you bring to this race? What are you bringing that is so different?
I believe I bring a different mindset. As you said, a lot of politicians, they don't think about these things. One thing is, I don't think it's about politics. I believe it's about the community and how much we can do to help and serve our community. It's about taking initiative and really pushing forward on a vision for the betterment of a stronger community. And that's what it's about, right? A lot of politicians, they run because it gives them status, they have a political agenda. But I don't believe that's needed here in this community. I believe that we have to really look at the grassroots issues. We have to look at the problems and identify them. We have to speak to each and every community member and see what they're going through. Because behind every door, there's problems, right? Families, we don't know. We only see what's on the outside. Let's dig in a little deeper. Let's find out what's affecting our families. Let's find out what's affecting our youth. And let's really help out and find a solution.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And I think it really speaks to your platform when you talk about, future Oakville. You're really wanting to build for a better and brighter future. And I think that's commendable, and I think that's awesome. And I think that that's probably what the world needs right now, is somebody thinking about children and thinking about the future and how can we make it better, right? Do you think you have what it takes to sit on council? I mean, I know a lot of people will probably be critical of the fact that you are so young and that you're seeking a position that, is usually only held by oftentimes, speaking from a woman's perspective, older men. We're starting to see more women come up in the ranks, but I mean, to get more youth on council would be amazing. But do you think you have what it takes to sit on council?
Well, first of all, I'm glad that you mentioned that more women are coming out, and that's something I really appreciate. Right? We need diversity on council, rather it be age, rather it be gender, rather it be ethnicity. We need diversity because Canada is a diverse country, and it doesn't matter to me if you have been living in Canada for one day or your whole life. To me, you're a Canadian, and that's what drives us forward. And that's the mentality that I bring to council. And to my candidacy, right? I want to make sure that, you know, people know that I'm different. I care about the community. I care about the grassroots issues. I've been to school in recent time, right? As you mentioned, I'm only 19 years old. I'm not that far removed from high school. So I understand what these kids need to be on the right path, because that's our future. You never know. The next prime minister might come out of Ward 7. The next big hockey player might come out of Ward 7. But we won't know until we provide them with the opportunities. And that's what I believe. I believe that we're a growing ward, and we deserve somebody that has grown with it and can help it grow even further.
Oh, that's awesome. I think that also tells us that you certainly have the passion and the stamina and the drive for a position like Regional Council, where you're going to be dealing with a lot of different personalities and a lot of different issues. And I feel just in these few minutes that you really will work hard for the community. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes, I definitely will. Because you know, the thing is that it's not easy doing anything. Nothing in life is handed to you. And that's something that I really believe in, right? A lot of families in this community, they're in need of hope. And one thing that I said in a recent debate that we had in our community is hope is not just given. We have to go out there and fight for it, right? Growing up and playing basketball, I was always the smallest guy on the court. I still am. I mean, I'm 6'2", but that's pretty small for a basketball player, right? And that proves that I had to work harder than most people, right? And playing against competition like NBA players. I've played against guys like DeAndre Ayton, who was the former #1 pick in the NBA draft.
Oh, wow.
Right? So to be able to play at that level, you have to work hard and you have to have drive. And for me, serving this community, I have that same drive. I have that same passion. And I'm not going to give up until we solve the issues that are at hand.
I know that you specifically mentioned the North Park project. What exactly is that?
So the North Park project, it's a project that I feel has been thrown underneath the bus by the town, by the community members. Not a lot of people are talking about this project, and I don't understand why, right? This is supposed to be the state-of-the-art recreation center for our community. It's supposed to have indoor facilities that will provide youth and families and seniors to come be active, be a part of the community, be engaged, and including outdoor facilities as well. The project was supposed to be done in 2018. Now, 2018 is this year, but the project isn't completed. So that raises a couple questions. What happened? Well, they delayed the funding until 2026, which means that the funds are going to be frozen until 2026.
Okay.
Looking at town permits, bylaws, and the building, it's going to be there around 2030. Now, if you put it into further perspective, a person who is 4 to 6 years old will be in university by the time that this project is completed. And that makes us think, who are we doing this for, right? The parents, the new parents in this community, the young families, they won't be able to enjoy this facility with their kids.
Right.
And that's concerning to me, because when I came in this community, I was just 13 years old. And being 13, I had nowhere to go. I had to go to Mississauga or Burlington, Toronto to play basketball, and nowhere in Oakville.
Right.
So I believe that we have to bring these facilities here so that kids have places to go, so families have a place to be engaged, so newcomers can get to know one another, and that's how we push forward.
Right.
Because that's what we need. And North Park Project will be that project that will bring all that together. It will be the focal point. So that's what North Park Project is, and I will champion that project and make sure that it is here for us and here for our community. We have a school in our very ward that's way overcrowded. A school that's only supposed to hold 850 kids has 1,200 kids.
Wow.
And 18 portable classrooms. Now, when we talk about inhibiting learning, that's something that comes to mind.
Of course.
18 portables. In wintertime, putting on your mitts and boots just to go to the washroom, that's something scary, especially for parents.
Of course.
And I'm not a parent yet, but I have a little brother, and he's in a portable. So,
yeah, what can we do?
one of the main platform points that I like to talk about is our safety, right? Because, as I mentioned, our demographics have changed. Oakville isn't as safe as it was before. And I remember speaking to somebody at the door, even today, and they're like, you're telling me that Oakville isn't safe anymore. I've been living here for 40 years. And I say, yes, because on my street, every car was broken into. just 2 days ago, a house in our community was broken into.
Wow.
And constantly things like this happen. You know, there was these 3 kids that passed away. There was somebody who was shot dead in his driveway. So for these type of things to happen, we can't say that Oakville is a perfect little town, right? We have to look at these issues and push forward based off that, and safety is a concern. So what we need to do is make sure that we're looking at proper police surveillance, video surveillance, to make sure that we're looking for the criminals, right, when they are targeting these homes, so that we can bring them to justice, so that we can prevent robbery, so we can prevent break-ins, because they know the cameras are there. On top of that, make sure there's more police presence and signage on the roads, because cars are speeding and there's no mutual respect between the pedestrian and the driver. And that's something I've noticed. Me crossing the street, being a pretty tall dude, right, I get honked at. So I can't let my little brother cross the street because I'm concerned. I can't let my little cousins cross the street because I'm concerned. If I can get honked at, are they going to miss them? We never know. Until we build that mutual respect, until we bring that community feel, we're not going to be safe. And safety is one of my top priorities right now. One of the main things on my platform after safety is making Oakville digitalized. And saying that, a lot of people will think, how do you make a city digitalized?
Yes, I'm thinking that.
Yeah, so we as a town don't really know what's going on in town council. When I go to the door, I ask people, I'm like, do you know what's going on in the town? Do you attend town hall meetings? And they say, oh, I don't have time, I'm working, I have kids. And well, that's your average answer, right? If we had online presence where we can access town hall meetings online, if we can look at the topics that are being discussed, that would be something that would be really beneficial to our community. So we know what's going on. On top of that, surveys on the issues that are being discussed. How does the community feel about it? Because who do we do it for, right? We have 14 members who will be sitting on council starting next term. Those 14 people, they're only 14 representatives, but who do we do it for? Our community, the 200,000 members of Oakville. So their voices must be heard.
Right.
They have a say, and if for them to survey off on an issue, that will give us a better understanding on what we have to do moving forward.
I know in Halton, transit is a big issue.
Yes. So when it comes to transit, there are a lot of issues. And I believe that our transit system, it's lacking. And that's the best word to put it. It's lacking, and I believe that we have to make it smarter, we have to make it more efficient, and we have to really work on it, especially in Ward 7, right? I was on the phone with a community member today. She called me because she had concerns about transit. And it's great that you asked me that question because it's fresh in my head what she said. She said that I have to get to university to McMaster every day. And there is a GO bus that goes there from Trafalgar 407 carpool, but there is no bus from our community that goes up there. And I'm like, wow, you know what? That's true. I didn't think of it like that. So it started ringing bells in my head. I'm like, we need to get a bus up there because I did my research, and that same station takes you to Oakville GO, it takes you to York University, it takes you to University of Toronto, and it takes you to McMaster. So for our community not to have a bus that goes there is very problematic for our students.
Of course.
On top of that, we need more buses that go up there for people who work in those areas. So we have to accommodate a lot of people, right? Because taking a transit is a good thing. We're carpooling, we're helping the environment, we're making sure that we're doing our part. And another thing when it comes to transit, especially in our communities, that the transit isn't accommodating all directions. There is no bus that goes to a specific area, and that would be Neagawa and Burnhamthorpe Road. There is a small community there that consists of about 100, 200 homes. And there is not one bus stop there, and the furthest one is a 1-hour walk. So those who are taking the bus, obviously they're not going to take the car to the bus stop, so they have to walk over. And I find that unfair. There's also a high school there. It's a private high school, but I believe that there should be a bus stop there. And we should bring it as soon as possible. Another thing, let's make sure that bus stops are going to both GO stations. There's 2 GO stations in Oakville, right? One's nearby the lake, and the other one's about midtown, near the GO station, Oakville GO station and Oakville Place, right? So let's make sure that the buses are going to focal points like the GO stations, to community centers, to other municipalities, and to universities, because that's what's gonna give us a more efficient bus transit, a smart bus transit. And that's what we should be working on, right? A bus transit system that works.